Everyone, I'm super excited for you to meet Chef Rebecca. Chef Rebecca has been in the Boom Boom Room for a while. She is a private chef. I know she has celebrity clients, but I can never shake their names out of her. And I know that she makes stunning and beautiful food because the internet has shown me pictures. And we are going to talk about following your delight in business. And also, she recently did a Make-A-Wish for a Make-A-Wish kid, and I'm geeked out about that. And I think it ties into following your delight in business. So everyone, I want you to meet Chef Rebecca. Chef Rebecca, please say hi to everyone.
I'm so glad to be here.
Yay, welcome to Lucky 13. We only have 13 minutes, which is very exciting and far too short in the best way. Can you tell everyone how you became a private chef? And I dare say a private like celebrity chef, but like, you keep it cool.
Sure. Um, well, I remember being like 5 years old, knowing I wanted to own a restaurant. Fast forward to college, studied economics, did a lot of case studies on businesses, and I was on restaurants rather, and I was like, nope, that's not happening because very high failure rate. Um, so got, a responsible job in insurance. Hated it with every fiber of my being. Um, got married. Husband was like, "Hey, I love my job. You should go do something you love." Best friend's husband approaches me and says, "Hey, I've got a restaurant space for you." And I was like, "No, you don't." He's like, "Just like come see it." I was like, "All right, fine, but I'm just telling you now, like I'm not going to do it." And he goes, "All right, just see the space." So I agreed to it um, out of spite, I would say. And I literally put a fail date on my calendar and I was like, I will do this just to prove to you I cannot do it. And it's a stupid idea. And here's the date on my calendar. The date came and went. I did not fail. I learned that I actually like super love being an entrepreneur and I'm good at it.
Mhm.
Um, so then, so I owned a couple of brick and mortar spaces and then moved to Nashville about coming up on 2 years ago now. Decided I didn't want to do brick and mortar, so I kind of transitioned into private chefing, and here I am.
Okay, I love all of this, and I also love that you go into people's homes or into spaces and curate and create private meals because it literally gives me anxiety. Like, I swear I can only cook in my kitchen, and when I get a new kitchen, I have to like reestablish everything. Can you please talk about, yeah, what is it like for you when you walk into someone's home to create commissioned experience?
Well, having a background in owning a restaurant and doing a lot of catering, probably the biggest thing that taught me is flexibility and adaptability. So,
Mm.
I mean, I catered a wedding one time on a couple of card tables in a back alley because the kitchen that I was told was at the venue did not exist. So going into a home that I know has electricity and running water, like easy peasy. I've got, some stuff that I bring along just because, I'm not cooking with dull knives,
Mhm.
but it's pretty easy. I think when you start off with good ingredients and you're excited about what you're making, make, something beautiful. And if stuff comes up, like I'm pretty good at being adaptable and figuring it out. So.
I have anxiety. Okay, so everyone, I want to point out to you, since we're going to talk about following your delight in business, like Chef Rebecca, what I'm hearing is it's almost like this big playground. You're like, I don't cook with dull knives, so I bring the things that are non-negotiable, but after that, it's like this giant, like, I make sure I have my knives and my ingredients, and after that, like, it's kind of a big adventure. And that is true for you, which is no doubt why you're so great at what you do. But same thing for other people. I want everyone listening to like notice there are things that we like to put the puzzle piece together and we're like, I don't know, it's kind of exciting that other people, for example, me imagining walking into someone else's house, I'm like, we are going to have toast and possibly order pizza only because I'd be like, what if they don't like it? And I don't know if we've talked about this, but I interned for a wedding cake maker in New York City at the end of my time there. I had a few months and I was like, listen, I think I'm going to go home and open a wedding cake business, blah, blah, blah. And it was the best internship it was my only internship. But the short of it is, when she was loading a $10,000 cake that we had like made together in the cardboard box, getting into the elevator to get into a taxi in New York City to deliver it. And I was like, what if there's a wreck? And she was like, well, I brought my little kit in case we need to do any minor repairs. And I was like, I'm going to need anxiety drugs. That was the day I knew I would never work in wedding cakes because I was like, I don't know, I'm going to need a lot of drugs that are not currently in my purse. And so for that reason, I was out, but it's right for you. It's following your delight. Oh, I love that you model that. What was it like when you like decided no more insurance full time, like I'm going to do this cooking thing?
Well, once I got past the like, I'm doing this to prove to you that I can't do it,
Hmm.
um, and I was like, oh, I'm actually good at this and love it. I realized I think I had just spent a lot of time being like responsible and doing what I was supposed to do.
Hmm.
And like, I got a spicy brain over here. Like, that is not how I work. Um,
Mm-mm.
so once I kind of, I think it felt a little bit like do you ever see a flower growing in a crack in a sidewalk?
Hmm.
And like, I don't know, I feel like there's a special kind of beauty in that, in like, this shouldn't be here,
Hmm.
but it is. And that's kind of what it felt like to kind of break out of that shell of what I was supposed
Hmm.
to do.
Hmm.
And then when I transitioned to Nashville, I feel more like a flower in a meadow now, in sort of, a well-watered space, and it's easier to grow here. But yeah, it felt kind of just like breaking free.
We love freedom.
Hmm.
Okay, what does it look like in your business to like follow your delight now that you have established you're good at this, you have established this is what I do, I make money doing this. So since it's always like new level, new devil, same thing again and again at each level, where is it easy to follow the delight in your business now?
So delight can look a lot of different ways.
Hmm.
One thing specifically, like I have celiac disease. So when I go out to eat, there's always this kind of underlying fear, like, am I going to get sick? Is it actually going to be safe? Or if I know something's going to be safe, like I've got two menu options. So I often feel like an afterthought. So I love when I get to go and I work with a lot of clients who have food allergies. And when I'm explaining the menu to everyone and they're like, wait, what? Like I can eat everything? And just like watching them light up, feeling
Hmm.
it's a rare experience if you have a lot of food allergies to not feel like an afterthought. So that like, oh, you did this for me. I absolutely love that. Um, and then little things like I grow edible flowers just because I love them and I think they're pretty and they're
Sure.
unnecessary, but I don't care. Like I don't think the pretty stuff, that's not an afterthought for me. Like that's a core part of my business.
Hmm.
And then sometimes it looks different, like I might be catering a funeral for someone, and that's a hard, sad thing. But also sometimes, like, I've done funerals where I incorporated like favorite recipes of the person who had passed. So, like, a lot of what I do is bearing witness to monumental events in people's lives. So,
Hmm.
delight can look more solemn, or it can be this big sparkly thing. But it's to me, it's those moments that like it's a point of connection and like I see you. And sometimes that's like come play, and sometimes that's just like I'm bearing witness to, this difficult moment in your life. But regardless, that yeah, that's for me, that's the core of delight is like I see you come play.
I I loved how you described it. Like the core of delight being I see you. And it's interesting. I want to take it a little further and say, like, and I recognize you and I honor you. Like
Mhm.
that just feels like that is even your example. Um, the funeral, it's like, oh, uh, even all things with my dad, sometimes I think it'll be an end of life celebration someday. And it's like, oh, that is more than sweet if you're incorporating a recipe. And it's also like, right, it is an honoring of what was good and true. Oh, like it's not, as you said, sparkly delight, but it's like it's still love. It's still so beautiful.
Yeah.
Mm. Okay, can we talk about the Make-A-Wish story? Because I know pieces and I've seen tiny pictures. Thanks for sharing in the Boom Boom Room. Will you share with everyone? Because I realized I was like, you're the first person I know who's been a Make-A-Wish giver, who's been like that's you and Dwayne The Rock Johnson, but I don't talk with him yet. So I'm like, you're in the same category, Chef Rebecca.
Oh, yeah. So when I moved to Nashville, I put a profile up on Thumbtack, to find clients. And this guy hired me. Ended up being, he's one of my favorite clients, just absolutely delightful human being. So his daughter works for Make-A-Wish Middle Tennessee, and she reached out to me. beginning of the year. Oh, and prior to that, as I was doing my business goals for the year, I just wrote down I want to incorporate more meaningful stuff into what I'm doing, but that involves like my business. And I had no idea what that would look like. So Erin reached out to me and she was like, "Hey, we've got a wish kid who wants to be a private chef and make dinner for his family." And I was like, "Me? Like, they could be asking, any number of celebrity chefs for this." So I was just deeply honored. It was, oh my gosh, I knew it would be a good experience, but like, I can't even tell you the level of just absolute delight, because it's a bittersweet thing. It's an organization that deals with a lot of, difficult stuff. It's like, yeah, very bittersweet, but the kid was just hilarious and just so much fun to work with. And at one point, I was like, "Hey, I grew these flowers for you." And he's like, "Wow, you're really excited about this." I was like, "Sorry, dude, I have no chill." He's like, "All right, I'm matching energy. Let's do this." And I was like, "Yes." And he was 13, and when you get like compliments from a 13-year-old, like that hits different.
Yeah.
That's a tough crowd.
Yeah.
But yeah, and just watching him, like, at one point he was like, "Well, I'm nervous. Like, what if we burn something, or like, what if you ruin this?" And I was like, "I've got your back. Like, we're not going to fail." Um, and yeah, just watching him light up as he's like carrying. The sun was going down. It was a beautiful setting. They hired somebody to, decorate the tables and make these beautiful menus and stuff. I remember him walking up the stairs, and the moment like he saw his family while he's carrying one of the dishes, he was just absolutely beaming. And I was like, oh, just full body delight. Like, what a beautiful thing to bear witness to. Like, such an honor that I got to do that. So yeah, that will be a highlight of my year for sure.
Mhm. I
Yeah.
mean, it added such value, to use the most annoying coach terms, but they're accurate. It added such value when you shared it in the Boom Boom Room. We were all like, ah,
Yeah.
what a
Oh,
gift.
absolutely.
Mm. Okay. What would you say to someone who's like, okay, but I want to follow my delight, but, but, as in it's not safe or it doesn't make sense. I have to keep grinding. Talk to him, Chef Rebecca. You have found your way out of many interesting and challenging circumstances in this lifetime. So tell them.
Well, I have a degree in economics, so I often feel that pull to be like businessy. And I just, there's something about following your delight that you can't necessarily quantify it, or it doesn't have to make sense on paper. But
Hmm.
like events where I've not done that, I've had some that have been just like I hated them. But there's just something about um accounting for like there's so much power and resonance and delight and doing what like deeply aligns with your spirit and running your business that way versus like I am going to do the business thing. And like the business stuff is important. I love a spreadsheet, but there's something that can't be quantified about delight.
I am going to fix that timer. It sounds like the Hunger Games, but I love that it ended after your perfect perfection. Like there's just something that just can't be quantified. That's like delight is outside of that. And I love that you speak to it because it is what I mean when I say like hashtag love, trust, money in that order. If you don't love it, and not the cheap thrills version of love, but like you fulfilling this young man's make-a-wish wish, you walking into a kitchen being like, got my knives, let's roll. Like, if you don't love it, that's like the foundation that everything, and then of course, trust that other people will love it, other people will recognize, other people will want what it is you have to offer. And then, yeah, the money comes, and we love money, but like it's love, trust, money. And without delight, as you say, it's just empty.
It's been so interesting too when I'm in my like business mode, even if I'm putting the same like advertisement out on Instagram,
Hmm. Hmm.
none of my marketing changes, but the people that come to me are the ones who like they're not hiring me for artistry. They're hired like and then I don't end up loving that stuff. But
Yeah.
if I'm approaching it with delight, like, the people that I'm attracting are the clients who are like, I'm hiring like give me
Yes.
the flowers, make it sparkle, tell me what it's going to take to make it happen. So,
It's the energetics of we get what we give. And it's like when you're pouring in with your delight, it's always a boomerang. It's just the way you described it. So for everyone listening, like, yeah, that's exactly how it goes. So when we're hyper transactional and just focused on, and I've done it, so there's no shame, this is not a moral judgment, but when it's just like this focus on the actual money, clients, whatever, that is what we attract. And then it tends to perpetuate and not be soup's fun when we're able to pour in like this is the mission behind it. This is the love. This is what I want to pour into myself and others. Then we attract that. And it's fascinating. It's money in either of those categories. So why not the soulful?
yeah, might as well have fun.
Might as well. Rebecca, thank you so much for being a part of Lucky 13 and meeting everybody.